All right, so today we're going to be diving deep into SoftWave therapy.
Yeah.
This is a non-invasive treatment, and it's making waves in the world of sports recovery. So whether you're a pro athlete or just like to, stay active and keep in shape, we all know injuries can be a major setback.
Absolutely. And I think what's so fascinating about SoftWave is it could be the game changer we've been waiting for in how we approach healing and recovery.
Okay, so first things first, how big of a problem are sports injuries?
It's huge. We're not just talking about professionals here, but, it's people of all ages and any activity level, really.
Yeah, you just think about sprains, strains,
Fractures.
fractures.
The whole 9 yards. And, it goes way beyond just the physical pain, too.
Right. It throws off your routine. It messes with your mental game.
It really does. It can impact your sleep.
Yeah. So where does SoftWave fit into all of this?
It's all about tapping into the body's natural healing power. SoftWave is a form of extracorporeal shockwave therapy, or ESWT. And basically, it uses acoustic waves to stimulate healing at the cellular level.
So these are sound waves.
Sound waves. Yeah, you got it.
So it's like giving your body a high-tech sonic massage.
Kind of.
To treat the injury.
Yeah.
So how does that actually speed up the healing process?
So SoftWave therapy has been shown to increase blood flow to the injured area, which in turn means that there's more oxygen and nutrients that are reaching those damaged tissues.
So it's like a supercharged delivery system for your body's natural repair crew.
That's a great way to put it.
So you're not masking the pain, you're actually treating the root cause.
Exactly.
And helping the body heal faster. Okay, I like that a lot. So what about inflammation?
Well, SoftWave helps to remove those inflammatory mediators.
Which are?
Which are those chemical messengers that cause pain and swelling. And by clearing them out, it creates a more optimal environment for healing to take place.
Okay, so you have accelerated healing, you have reduced inflammation, but what about the pain itself? Because that's always like the biggest hurdle in recovery.
Well, SoftWave tackles that in a couple of ways. First, it stimulates the release of endorphins. Those are the feel-good chemicals that act as natural painkillers, so you get some immediate relief. But even more exciting is its potential to actually regenerate damaged tissue.
Well, regenerate tissue. Are we talking about Wolverine-level healing here?
Haha, not quite Wolverine, but it is pretty remarkable.
Okay.
Research suggests that SoftWave can stimulate the production of stem cells.
Stem cells, those are like the rock stars of healing.
Yeah.
The cells that can transform into any type of tissue the body needs.
You got it. And SoftWave seems to be able to attract these stem cells to the injured area where they can then differentiate into the specific cell types needed for repair.
Okay, so this is starting to sound a little bit like science fiction. We're talking about real science here.
Absolutely. There are numerous studies showing the positive effects of SoftWave therapy on a variety of conditions. In fact, the FDA has cleared SoftWave for several applications, including activating connective tissue and reducing pain.
Okay, so it's FDA cleared. So it's not just hype. There's real scientific backing behind this.
Exactly.
And you mentioned connective tissue. Remind me why that's so important.
Well, connective tissue is what holds everything together. It's your tendons, ligaments, fascia.
Oh, right.
The framework that supports your body.
Yeah.
And when it's injured, it can be incredibly painful and slow to heal.
Yeah, and I've definitely experienced my share of tendonitis and ligament sprains over the years.
I hear, yeah.
So is SoftWave particularly effective for these types of injuries then?
It seems so. SoftWave increases blood flow. It stimulates that stem cell activity, which is exactly what those slow healing tissues need to recover.
Okay, so I'm starting to see the potential here. But why haven't I heard about this before?
It is gaining traction.
Is it relatively new?
Well, especially in the world of professional sports.
Oh, yeah.
We're seeing, major organizations like the NFL, NBA, and NHL incorporating SoftWave into their treatment plans for athletes.
That makes sense. Elite athletes are always looking for that edge, for that cutting-edge treatment.
Yeah.
But this isn't just for the pros.
Oh, no, not at all. Anyone who's dealing with a sports injury or chronic pain could potentially benefit.
So we're talking about everything from plantar fasciitis to...
Yeah, plantar fasciitis, tennis elbow. Rotator cuff injuries.
Back pain.
Wow,
the range is pretty impressive. But you mentioned professional athletes earlier.
Yeah.
Any big names that we might recognize who have actually used SoftWave?
Well, there's one story that really highlights the potential of this technology. Randy Cross.
Okay.
A 3-time Super Bowl champion with the San Francisco 49ers.
3-time Super Bowl champ. Okay, now you're talking. Tell me more.
He found significant relief from pain and stiffness after years of wear and tear on his body.
So after years of playing at the highest level, he had his share of injuries, I imagine.
Hip replacement, knee surgery, you name it.
And even after surgery, he was still dealing with lingering pain and limited mobility.
Yeah, he thought he could just recover on his own, but when his quad tendon wasn't healing as expected after knee surgery and his doctors were even suggesting more surgery, he decided to give SoftWave a try.
And don't leave me hanging. What happened?
The results were pretty dramatic. He was able to regain flexibility in his knee to the point where he could fully bend and extend it again, something he couldn't do before.
So SoftWave actually helped him avoid going under the knife again.
He was able to avoid another surgery thanks to SoftWave.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That is huge. But what about his wife? You mentioned she also had some experience with SoftWave.
Oh, yeah. His wife was struggling with chronic back pain, and this wasn't responding to epidurals.
Wow.
She tried SoftWave, and according to Randy, she's back on the golf course and loving it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So it's inspiring to hear how this technology is helping people regain their quality of life.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the tech itself for a moment. You mentioned that SoftWave uses a unique patented reflector design.
Right. So the parabolic reflector in the SoftWave device is what creates that targeted, deep-reaching energy distribution.
Right.
It allows those acoustic waves to penetrate deep into the tissue up to 12 centimeters and cover a broad area about 7 centimeters wide with each treatment pulse.
So it's not just a surface-level treatment.
Right.
It's actually getting to the root of the problem.
Exactly.
Deep down in those muscles and tissues. That makes sense. But I'm still curious about the science behind these sound waves. How do they actually trigger healing at the cellular level?
Well, that's where we delve into the fascinating world of mechanotransduction. Stay tuned because in part 2, we'll break down exactly how those acoustic waves interact with our cells to kickstart the healing process. It's going to blow your mind.
I can't wait. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with part 2.
Welcome back. So before we jumped into Randy Cross's story, we were discussing how SoftWave uses sound waves to boost the body's natural healing abilities. Now are you ready to get into the nitty-gritty of how it actually works at the cellular level?
Absolutely. You had me at mechanotransduction. It sounds intimidating and incredibly cool at the same time.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Mechanotransduction is basically how cells sense and respond to mechanical forces. Think of it like this. Our cells aren't just sitting there passively. They're constantly interacting with their environment, and those interactions influence how they behave.
Okay, so our cells are a lot more dynamic than I realized. But how do sound waves actually play into this?
Well, those acoustic waves generated by the SoftWave device create these tiny pressure changes,
Right.
almost like signals to the cells.
So they're like little wake-up calls.
Yeah, exactly. Like tap, tap, tap on a cell's shoulder. Hey, pay attention. Time to get to work.
So the sound waves are telling the cells in the injured area, hey, we need you, get busy. So what happens when the cells get that message?
A whole cascade of events is triggered inside the cell, leading to all sorts of beneficial effects like increased protein synthesis, the release of growth factors, and as we touched on earlier, the activation of stem cells.
Okay, so let's break this down a bit. Protein synthesis. That's basically like the building blocks for new tissue, right?
Exactly. And growth factors are like chemical messengers
Oh.
that tell cells to grow, divide, specialize, essential for that tissue regeneration.
And then you have the stem cells,
Yeah.
which we talked about earlier, the blank slates that can turn into whatever type of cell the body needs for repair. So SoftWave is basically orchestrating this whole symphony of healing by triggering these different cellular processes.
Love that analogy. It really is like a symphony.
So it's like SoftWave is the conductor, and all the different cells are the musicians,
Yeah,
working together in harmony to create this healing masterpiece.
I like it.
It's amazing to think that something as simple as sound waves can have such a profound impact on the body. Let's talk about those stem cells a bit more. You mentioned that SoftWave can actually stimulate their production. How does that work?
It's still an area of active research, but there's growing evidence that those mechanical signals from the sound waves can activate certain genes that are involved in stem cell production and differentiation.
So it's like flipping a switch, telling the body, hey, we need more of these healing superstars, get to work. But how do the stem cells know where to go?
Think of the injured area as sending out an SOS.
Okay.
It's releasing all sorts of chemical signals that attract the stem cells. And SoftWave, by increasing blood flow and creating that optimal healing environment, it helps to amplify those signals.
Making it easier for the stem cells to find their target.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see why this technology is causing such a buzz in the medical community.
It's truly groundbreaking stuff, and it has the potential to revolutionize how we treat a wide range of conditions, not just sports injuries.
Oh, really? Like what?
We're seeing promising results in wound healing, pain management, even treating conditions like erectile dysfunction.
Wow, the possibilities seem endless. But let's stick with sports recovery for a moment. What types of injuries is SoftWave particularly effective for? We talked about tendon and ligament injuries earlier. Anything else?
Those are definitely some of the most common applications, but we're seeing great results with plantar fasciitis, tennis elbow, Achilles tendonitis, rotator cuff injuries, even stress fractures.
So those nagging overuse injuries that athletes often struggle with. This is giving me hope for my own tennis elbow, which has been acting up lately. But I know you mentioned earlier that SoftWave isn't like a magic bullet. Are there any situations where it might not be the best option?
Like any medical treatment, it's important to consult with a qualified healthcare professional.
Right, of course.
To determine if SoftWave is right for you.
Yeah.
There are some contraindications, such as active infections, certain types of bone cancers, pregnancy.
To know.
Mm-hmm.
It's always wise to get personalized advice. But it sounds like for a lot of people, SoftWave could be a real game changer in terms of recovery and pain management. And I think it all comes down to harnessing the power of sound waves.
Pretty remarkable. And we haven't even touched upon some of the other exciting areas of research.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah. There's growing interest in using SoftWave to improve bone density.
Wow.
And even promote hair growth.
Okay, now you're really blowing my mind. Bone density and hair growth. That's amazing. It seems like we're only just scratching the surface of what this technology is capable of. But before we get too carried away with all the possibilities, let's go back to those real-world examples. You mentioned some pretty compelling case studies earlier. I'd love to hear how SoftWave is actually impacting people's lives.
You got it. In part 3, we'll dive into some specific cases that really showcase the transformative power of SoftWave therapy.
Welcome back. We've been on quite the journey exploring this world of SoftWave therapy, from the science of mechanotransduction to the potential for stem cell activation.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. But what really brings it home are the stories of people whose lives have been changed by this technology.
Exactly, and I'm ready to hear those case studies. What have you got for us? Well, one that really stands out is this young athlete who suffered a severe Achilles tendon injury. And, those can be notoriously difficult to recover from, sometimes requiring surgery and months of rehab.
Yeah, those are tough.
No.
So what was his experience with SoftWave?
Well, he'd been struggling with pain and limited mobility for months, even with traditional physical therapy. He was really worried that his athletic career might be over.
So he turned to SoftWave as a last resort.
Pretty much.
What made him decide to give it a try?
He'd heard about some of the success stories, and honestly, he was desperate for anything that might help him get back on the field.
I can relate to that feeling.
Yeah.
When you're sidelined with an injury, you'll try anything to get back in the game.
Huh.
So did SoftWave live up to his expectations?
It did. After just a few sessions, he noticed a significant reduction in pain and improvement in his range of motion.
Wow.
He was able to start pushing himself harder in his rehab, and within a few weeks, he was back to training at his pre-injury level.
That's incredible. It really shows how SoftWave can accelerate that healing process and get athletes back to doing what they love.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other examples? I'm curious to hear how SoftWave is helping people beyond the world of professional sports.
Yeah, for sure. There's the case of a woman who had been suffering from chronic plantar fasciitis for years.
Oh, I feel for her.
Oh, yeah.
Plantar fasciitis can be debilitating.
It is. It can be.
It's like this sharp stabbing pain in your heel with every step you take.
Every step.
So how did SoftWave come into her story?
She was at her wit's end. She couldn't even walk her dog without excruciating pain. It was really impacting her quality of life.
It's amazing how something like foot pain can affect so many aspects of your life.
It really can.
So did she find relief with SoftWave?
She did. After a few treatments, the pain started to subside. And over time, with continued treatments, the pain completely disappeared. She was finally able to walk pain-free and, get back to enjoying her life.
That's truly remarkable. It's a great reminder that SoftWave isn't just for elite athletes. It can help anyone who's struggling with pain and limited mobility.
Absolutely. We're seeing positive results with a wide range of conditions, from back pain and knee pain to tennis elbow and carpal tunnel syndrome.
It's exciting to think about the potential of this technology to help people reclaim their lives from chronic pain. But, we've talked a lot about the positive side of SoftWave. Are there any drawbacks or limitations we should be aware of?
Like any medical treatment, it's not a miracle cure. It doesn't work for everyone, and there are some contraindications you mentioned earlier. It's always best to consult with a healthcare professional.
Right, of course, to see if SoftWave is right for you.
Exactly.
But overall, it seems like SoftWave offers a safe and effective alternative to traditional treatments like surgery or, long-term pain medication.
I would agree. And What's especially compelling is that it harnesses the body's own healing mechanisms.
Right.
It's not about masking the symptoms. It's about addressing the root cause and promoting that natural healing.
That's what I find so fascinating about this technology. It's a completely different approach to healing,
Yeah.
one that empowers the body to heal itself. And, based on the evidence we've discussed, it seems to be working.
It's groundbreaking. And the research is ongoing.
Wow.
We're learning more about its potential applications every day. It's an exciting time to be in this field.
Well, this has been an incredibly enlightening deep dive. We've gone from sound waves to stem cells, from pro athletes to everyday people struggling with pain. I have to say, I'm thoroughly impressed with the potential of SoftWave therapy.
Me too. And I hope our listeners are as intrigued as we are. If you're curious to learn more, there are plenty of resources available online. And of course, consult with a healthcare professional to see if SoftWave might be right for you.
Excellent advice. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into SoftWave therapy. It's been a fascinating journey, and I hope you've learned something new and valuable today.
Knowledge is power.
Stay curious. Keep exploring. And as always, thanks for joining us on the deep dive.